Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial where we will be visualizing company ownership networks using an online tool called Onodo. My name is Paul Jejits and I am Program Manager for Open Data Training and Services with OpenOil. This video is created in the context of the Publish What You Pay Data Extractors program. I have included the link to a step-by-step guide as well as other useful links in the description. Onodo was created in 2015 by the Spanish civil societal organization Civio. Basically, its goal is to visualize complex networks and to support your storytelling. Because Onodo is easy to use, the target audience does not need any technical knowledge to construct such a visualization. In particular, you can use Onodo to visualize company ownership networks to better understand the relations between different actors, may it be persons, companies, locations, as well as their magnitude of influence. Today, we will learn how to construct such a network visualization. Basically, how to go from this to this, what to pay attention to, how to arrange your data in preparation, what options you have once you have uploaded the data into the platform, what changes you can make to the visualization, and finally, how you can share it. The example we're going to be using relates to the extractive sector, where ownership has become an important issue, especially when it comes to hidden ownership, tax evasion, or even corruption. The inspiration for this exercise stems from a blog I wrote about finding ownership information using EITI data for Zambia. I have picked the 10 biggest projects in terms of payments made to the government and tried to use the 2015 report that includes beneficial ownership information and turn it into a visualization that shows some of the intermediate companies and the ultimate owning companies, as well as their place of incorporation and where they are listed. Now let's have a look at the basic workings of Onodo. The software is free to use, however, keep in mind that once you have published your visualization, the information will be public and anyone will be able to download your dataset. Once you have signed up, you can directly start. You will be directed to this simple dashboard, where you can continue working on your automatically saved work or create a new project. Start by giving it a name, which you will be able to modify at any time. Then, decide whether you want to use an already existing XLS table or whether you want to start with an empty table. Let's start with an empty table, just to show you the structure of the data input. What you see are two planes. A visualization plane that is empty at the moment, and if you scroll down, the data input table. On the left, there are two tabs, one on the nodes and one on their links. The Nodes tab is your starting point. You can type in the name, let's type Node A, and what type of node it is. Let's call it starting point. You can also add a description, which can be useful, especially if you are interested in adding a source. In the next column, you can decide whether the node should be visible or not. This is interesting if you want to keep the visualization simple, but available in case anyone downloads your table. Finally, you can also add an image, which can be interesting if you are working, for instance, with well-known brands or pictures of persons of interest. As you can see, the node has appeared on the upper part of the page. Then, you can either duplicate the node or add a new one. Let's call the next one Node B and type in a different name. This will give us a different color. For any new node, you can decide whether the type falls into one of the two existing categories via a drop-down menu, or whether you create a new one. Now that we have our two nodes, let's describe their relation. We click on the second tab called Links, which is similarly structured as the Nodes tab. The Source tab describes our starting point, the Link tab gives us the opportunity to describe their relation, and the Target tab is our finishing point. We can also add a date if we're working on describing a sequence of events. Finally, we can ascribe a direction, which just means that we can choose whether we want to link the nodes with a simple line or if we want an arrow. let's apply an arrow to our case. Starting with the source, you can either type in the node name or choose it from the drop-down menu. We type in a name for the nature of the relation, and finally can again type in or choose from a drop-down menu. The Direction tab basically shows why we need a source and a target, for instance, if we want to depict a hierarchy or a movement. If you click on the icon, you will see that an arrow appears from the source to the target. So these are the basics. We have created two nodes and we have connected them. They are hierarchical because we have a source and a target, and we have defined a direction of our arrow. However, both nodes have the same size and the arrow is simple. We can also add a qualifying element to this relation. Let's start with the nodes. On the upper right side of our table, we can add a custom column. Let's say that we want to show that node A is bigger than node B. For this, we click on Add Custom Column. Let's call it Size. We can choose from 3 categories, which some of you might know from other visualization programs: a string, a number, and a boolean. The string is a text input. Number is the comparison between numbers we input. Finally, boolean refers to a binary yes or no categorization. In our case, we click on number. Let's type 10 in the node A column and 5 in the node B column. Now, node A should grow in size in comparison to node B. If nothing happens, we can also access the settings, which you will find on the right side of the visualization plane. The settings sidebar will open, in which you can make changes to the nodes. In the Nodes tab, we have 3 options. The first 2 relate to how we want to qualify the difference between our nodes. We can either do it by color or by size. If we do it by color, we would have to choose quantitative, since we have added a numbers column, and the color would signal the difference between node A and node B. Or we can do this by node size. We click on Based on Column and choose our number column. Automatically, the node with a smaller number will become smaller and the node with a higher number bigger. However, since we're working on relational data and only have one link, the link is static, and the only thing we can change is the way the link looks like. If we click on the Link tab in the settings, we can change the link line style, for instance from solid to dashed. Let's try to see how we can change the link width by adding another node and thus another link. Again, we click on Add Node, call it Node C, and let's categorize it as a target point. Automatically, this node has the same color as the other one in that category. With a new node, we suddenly have the possibility of 2 more links. Let's add a link between our source node and our new node, give it the same link description as before, and add a direction. We can also add a link between the 2 nodes of the same category, and by the way, we don't need any link title. So now that we have more than one link, we can start to qualify the difference between them. We add a new column. Let's call it width. And choose numbers as qualifier and type in the numbers. So let's say that the connection between node A and node C is bigger than the one between node A and node B. After typing in the numbers, let's move to the Settings icon in the visualization plane and click on the Links tab. In the category Links Width, we can choose Based on Column and choose our column name Width. We see how the links change according to the numbers we have typed in. This is basically it. These are the fundamentals. I advise playing around with the options and discover other possibilities to alter the visualization. Before making changes, you can make a copy of this project. In the next section, we will be using data from an already existing dataset.